coming through the internet and noticed a lot of guys doing the same project. A lot of them calling it the backslash. So I guess this is my version of that. I had a HBI Vorza, so I figured it was almost perfect, as I was seeing a lot of people using a lot of at least some of the parts from a Vorza. So I figured I might as well take the opportunity because my electronics were blown up from the Vorza. So this is a little bit of what I did here and there. Alright, first of all, as you see, those are not rally or slash shocks. Those are Vorza shocks. I took them right out of the Vorza, put them right on the rally. They fit just fine, although I've been told a lot of people were shortening them, but I had no reason to, really. I mean, they are a little too big for the car, but I haven't really had any issues with them. As you say, it rides a little high, but I've been told that the springs will dampen a little bit more after time, so I'm hoping that will happen a little bit. But as far as bashing, then they're almost about as perfect as you can get. Alright, let's get to the bumper. The bumper is a Mugen, I think it's an MBX is the model bumper. It nearly bolts right on. It's not the prettiest of bumpers, but it did the job exactly how I needed it to do. Here is the bottom. Mounting it was really pretty easy. All I had to do was just drill 2 new holes and just get some, I guess those are 3mm screws right in through the bottom. I kept the bumper mount from the rally, and I just had to cut it off right where the giant foam part starts. So what I did was I just had those holes. They go right up and through, almost right up out of the little bottom of the or the top of the mount, and it just stays in there really well. I could have had it closer to the actual chassis, but it would have lost some of the actual bumper usage, although I might try to get another one and move it a little bit in closer to the chassis. While we're looking at the front, that front nose of the body is it really isn't being held in by much other than that screw. I took some of the foam. You'll see this foam a lot in this project from the front bumper of a rally. I just got it right through the shock towers, and it just gets held on by a screw and a nylon lock nut. Pretty simple. It's not going anywhere. In fact, if I had bolted it in with plastic or metal, it would be a lot more rigid and it wouldn't flex as well if it hit something. So I'm actually pretty happy with it. Sometimes it does get bellied up, but no big deal. I think it came out pretty okay looking, and the body that this is used for, which is a D8, also another HPI model. I bought the body for the Vorza, but it did not fit the Vorza, so I just took this and put it right on here. But anyway, this would face downwards like that, just as if it was on a D8, so I was kind of thrilled how that worked out pretty well. Alright, well, let's move on. While I'm on the body, might as well mention that the only modification I had to do after I painted it, and then decided to put it on this chassis, was I had to cut some of the front of the body. As you can tell, it didn't really affect anything, just shortened it. It is a pretty wide body for this chassis, but as you know, the rally and slash chassis is one of the wider chassis you can find. So that is it. I mean, it's just from the front I cut it up, and then in the back, there you have it. It just sits right up against the shock tower that I created back there, and it just kind of sits there. I'll get more into how it kind of sits so plush in there in a second. I want to get to the next part of the build, which was this rear shock tower I got here. This was created by an old license plate. It's just a sheet of aluminum. It goes right flush into, let's see if I can focus here. It just kind of sits inside of the shock tower, and then it gets held in, oops, there we go, with a couple of screws, and it holds on to the Vorza wing mount. I'll get some of these part numbers for you guys hopefully on the info of the YouTube page. Yeah, I just cut it with a rotary tool, and the inside, I don't even know what they're called, the inside little parts of the shock tower just kind of the shock tower just kind of holds it in place, and the strength of that kind of holds the whole wing on. I'll show you, get a picture of the back. Here's the rear of that. It's kind of nice because it's more durable than a lot of the plastic I was seeing guys use, and it's still pretty stiff. I mean, the wing it's not going anywhere. It's on there pretty well, and it came out pretty handy that I already had a wing mount on hand, so I was able to use that from the Vorza again. And below that, you'll see is the rear bumper, which is the factory bumper that needed absolutely no modification. Let's see, yeah, these rear shocks are so stiff it really hasn't bottomed out much. I have it on the lightest settings I can get, and it hasn't bottomed because I guess how heavy the shock oil is. But let's see if we can look at the bottom. Yeah, there you have it. I've only driven it, 2 runs or so it's still pretty new. Yeah. All right, I got the body off for you guys. We can see some of the work that went on the chassis underneath the body. First of all, what I did was I took the Nerf bars from the rally, and there was a bar that went out, I don't know, maybe 3/4 of an inch, and connected the two from the outside right about right here, and then the other side went to about here. I cut that off, and then once again I took the foam from the front of the bumper, and I just cut it to the size of the width of the body. I just measured. It was pretty easy. I just had to really know how to cut the foam. The foam is kind of tricky to cut. And then I kind of tapered it off here just so it wouldn't stretch, pull the body out on the sides. Here's on the other side. It ended up working out pretty well because the foam won't scratch up the body too much, and I'm just gonna have to make sure I get some tape or something in there so it doesn't really do any more damage. Right now it's just got a black backer on it, but yeah, that was it for those. I just double-sided taped it, just with some sticky tape, foam tape. And alright, well, so the next thing I had to do was I took the body mounts from the rally, the original ones that went to the rear, and I just made 2 mounts, and I actually didn't even have to drill any holes or anything. The holes were already here. I took the screw out of the I guess it's called a gear cover for the rear, and as you can see, that mount is just about as short as it can get, which is okay because it doesn't really need to be any shorter, and it's gonna conflict with some of your electronics here. Like mine, it kind of rubs up against the wires, but it's fine. And then the front actually needs to be a little bit taller, just for the because of the way the body's shaped and all. But again, I mean I've been told that these are for a transponder, I think. So I just it's not the deepest hole, so it probably isn't super durable, but it should work. It should hold up to just about anything I can throw at that body. And since the body isn't really moving, from being hit, so it should be plenty durable. I mean, it is down there, I would say maybe 1/8 of an inch or so. You don't want to drill right through this chassis, or else you'll hit your drive shaft here. I just bought a pretty long screw and I think it's a 3mm, goes right through that mount, and it's cool because the rear mount, I can just unscrew that instead of having to unscrew a screw, and it makes it a lot easier to get that cover off. I can just unscrew it by hand, and the screw sticks right into the body mount. It it works out just about as well as you can imagine. And here's the inside of the front bumper. Let's see if it'll focus. Nope, doesn't want to focus. Okay. Alright guys, a couple little more things I forgot to mention in that last clip. There are some extra parts I kind of needed to get everything set up right. These are 17mm hub adapters. You needed them to get these buggy wheels on. I can't remember the name offhand who makes these, but they're pretty nice. I lost the little, I don't know what they're called, hub screw on the street the first day I took it out, so I had to get these black ones from an even better company who makes hubs. But anyway, I had to purchase them, and then I had to get lighter springs for the rear shocks for the Vorza. The ones that come on the Vorza are red, or no, they're orange, and they're the hardest shocks you'll ever need from electric vehicles. So I got the green. They're softer. They're actually for the front, but since they're still longer than the normal fronts and they're soft, they work perfectly for the back for this car. And you notice I kind of do have, for ride height, adjusted almost to the back, to the very low end. So the rear does sit pretty well. And then on the front, they really can't get much lower, and it's still pretty low.